He is a Steelers diehard, a Pittsburgh sports diehard through and through, and a great sports fan, and you could see it. It's sensed in his new film, Bottom of the Ninth, in theaters now, is released last Friday. Good to see you, Joe Manganiello. How are you, bud?
Great, Rich. Thanks for
You
having
have
me.
made the tour, sir. You were on DP show last week. I saw you on Fallon. Were you having fun at the expense of sports broadcasters on Jimmy Fallon a little bit?
A little bit,
Joe,
yeah.
I
I was
mean,
doing I was doing like kind of a light Harry Carey. Harry Carey light.
Which is like just one beer in, 2 beers in, or something like that?
Hey!
That's right.
We all know the moon isn't made of green cheese, but if it was, would you eat it then?
Pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you, Keenan Thompson, and Fallon.
Yep. Yeah. We played Mad Libs.
Right.
So we came up with all these crazy words, not knowing what was going to happen next.
Yes.
And then they worked them into a baseball sportscast where the three of us were the cashes.
I mean, that sounds like my job in a very tangential way.
Yeah.
Very strange, you know.
Yeah.
Just figure
Do you do like bets ever on shows where people are like, hey, Rich, $50 working aluminum siding somewhere? Like, do you do stuff like that?
Joe, the number of times I have received texts from people to say, "Would you say this on the air right now?" I've done it.
You ever take anybody up on it?
No, I mean, I've not for money or anything like that. As Dan Patrick had me say grilled cheese for 2 on the air because Will Ferrell went on his show and dared me to be able to do it. So I was on a Thursday night football set. I think it was in Jacksonville. And it was very strange that I asked the stage manager, "Can you please get me a grilled cheese before the end of the show?" And I did that.
Was it money?
It was no money. It was just pride. I do it for pride. You know, I do it for pride.
I do it for money.
And then it's the forgiveness instead of permission thing where, you know, then a suit will come up to you afterwards. He goes, "What was with the grilled cheese thing?" And I'm like, "Well, I was doing it for Will Ferrell and Dan Patrick."
I don't explain my art. That's the answer.
Houston at Jacksonville.
That's it.
December 5th, 2013.
Grilled cheese for 2. Yeah, it's coming up on the 6-year anniversary of something that nobody thinks is an anniversary. Let's put it that way.
You've also done flinch ball on there. You've said a lot of things at behest of
See,
Dan.
I've done that. I've done it. So,
Wow.
Joe, what do you need me to say?
I got offered $100 by the former editor of People magazine to answer a question, any question on a talk show with, sadly, Faye Dunaway.
Okay, let me see if I can ask the question on the spot right here.
Yeah. Sadly,
is there anybody that you
Whose Super Bowl window is closing the fastest? Let's go to the poll. Rich, you have an answer?
sadly, Faye Dunaway. So that would get me
Super Bowl
100
window closed. Yeah, you would get $100. Yeah.
That would be an odd poll question.
that would be weird.
So you had me ask we asked the question earlier on. Whose Super Bowl window is closing the fastest, right? Which quarterback?
Yep.
And it was Roethlisberger, and it was Phillip Rivers, and it was Drew Brees, and it was Aaron Rodgers. And Ben was winning that poll, correct?
Yeah, 35% in that poll.
Now you have added, I said, take Aaron Rodgers out, put Brady in, right?
Yeah, took Rodgers out, put Brady in.
Has that affected the results at all?
Yep.
Okay, what do you got?
Ben Roethlisberger now 44%. Tom Brady in the last place, 10%.
Okay, so Aaron Rodgers was stealing some of Ben's votes of no confidence.
A little bit.
What do you think, Joe?
Look, I mean, I don't understand. Like, is Green Bay, were they in a Super Bowl window? I mean, were we looking at them last year as a contender? I mean, that's my question. The other side of it is like, okay, I understand. Like, you know, New Orleans made the playoffs. I get that part of it, you know, and I get that, okay, the Steelers, like, we didn't last year. We had a very odd year, and I think that that's what's reflecting it. But, like, is Phillip Rivers in a Super Bowl window? I mean,
right now.
When was San Diego's win? Like, we actually won Super Bowls and went to a bunch.
No, I know the Chargers are definitely in a Super Bowl window right now. I think I would push back on that a little bit with you, but I understand last year Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers hurt his knee and you just needed a Herculean effort just to beat the Bears, who at the time in Week 1 we didn't think was a playoff team as they turned out to be. And so that we're wondering what that roster is going to look like.
Yeah, I don't
So
think anybody
understand
was expecting Green Bay to win last year.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But you know the drill. I mean, no Brown, no Bell, no shot. Joe. I mean, that is
okay.
Yes, that is
Well,
exactly
we didn't make the
what-
playoffs last year with those guys on roster. Now, granted, one of them didn't show up because James Conner was running so well mid-season. I mean, look, if you're going to come back during the bye week and that's your plan, but then your backup is running out of his mind and you're going to ride the bench as the number 2 running back, that's not going to help your market value. So, of course, you don't come back to the team. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we didn't make the playoffs with the distractions and everything going on last year. So,
you know,
yeah,
that is part of the, as well as you well know, that is a fallacious, I guess, storyline is that Bell totally ruined their chances of making it when he didn't come back, because when he didn't come back, they were at an all-time high when he decided not to come back, and there was no drama. They started losing games even.
But you had Joe Hayden just on. I mean, you know,
right.
That call doesn't happen in New Orleans. It's a different season. You know, I mean, maybe AB doesn't even leave. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that
was a big moment.
It was a big moment.
And
I mean,
Connor got hurt too. That high ankle sprain was a total crusher.
Yeah, and then our backup comes in and rushes for 140 yards. I mean, you have to give credit to the Steelers line. I mean, there's like some of the best linemen in the league on that line. So, you know, you can question your value or a running back's value, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think, you know, as they've proven, you can plug next guy up into our line, and that guy's going to run for $150.
So what do you think? What are you expecting this season?
I like us as underdogs. I think everybody in Pittsburgh likes us as underdogs. Whenever they say we're going to win, we don't. And when they're not looking at us, that's when it historically happens for us in the modern Steelers era. So, you know, I'm fine with all of that. I like the team. I think Pittsburgh loves this team. You know, I mean, do we wish that players' behaviors would have been different? Sure, of course we do, but it is what it is. And it's not like we didn't know who those guys were anyway. So I like the distractions gone. Look, man, we make the playoffs, it's a better season than last year, and that's the goal right now. I think we got a great team. Like Coach T said, we have a wide receiver who was an all-pro and a running back who was all-pro last year. So let's not forget about those guys.
Well, the issue, Joe Manganiello here, I'm going to continue playing devil's advocate, that Juju wouldn't have had the season that he had if Antonio Brown wasn't on the other side drawing double teams and having the attention of the defensive coordinator and staff the entire week long because of who he is.
You can't argue that a 1-2 receiver combination tandem like benefits from each other, of course. Yeah, or that a number 2 receiver doesn't benefit from number 1, and you know, we're going to see. I mean, are you trying to say that Juju can't be a number 1? I mean, I disagree with that.
I would disagree with that too.
Juju's fantastic.
I would disagree with that too.
Yeah,
I think he can be 1, and then the question is, who would be the 2? Who are you looking at that could be the 2? Who could step in and maybe have the Juju role?
I mean, you know? I think James Washington has shown potential, and now it's time for him to step up.
Yep.
I think, you know, we're great at drafting wide receivers. I mean, and that's the thing, you know, people don't want to give Ben credit or his window's closing. Ben led the league in passing last year, you know, and if you look at from the start of Ben's careers, whether it was Hines Ward and Plaxico Burress or Plaxico Burress and Santonio Holmes, or you could just plug receivers in. He's made receivers into what they are. The reason we could let Mike Wallace go when he was asking for more money was because, you know, Ben was throwing balls at this young kid named Antonio. So now Antonio's gone. We got Juju. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine, to quote Aaron Rodgers or paraphrase Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Chill.
Relax.
Yeah, relax.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, again, that we've discussed it off air, and a little bit last time you were here, is that the Steelers have never really been in not since Bubby Brister, that nobody believes in us. I'm serious.
I remember vividly. That was me growing up. I was born in the 70s, so all you heard about was the Steelers championships, and then every Sunday I was parked in front of the 80s Steelers. It was completely different.
Right.
But yeah, we've been contenders for a long time, which I think speaks to the strength of the organization. And you look at other organizations that have trouble pulling out winning seasons, like the one that everyone's talking about winning the Super Bowl this year in our division. I mean, you got to have a winning season first, guy. You know, that's what I got to say.
Don't look at me, Joe. I'm back you on this.
I know.
I mean, it's like, all right, I'll believe it when I see
Well,
it.
Joe, I mean, you can't begrudge Browns fans for being
No.
excited.
No, and that's the thing is
mean,
that for the
come on.
past 20 odd years, it's like people are like, "Oh, I'm from Cleveland. I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, I don't care. It's okay. Like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you."
He went higher register. Do you know when it's okay?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You know, when
okay.
you're like, oh, no,
It's
you go,
all right.
no, when you go this high, it means
Yeah.
you really don't mean what you're saying. You
Like,
know, when you
you
go
know-
higher register.
You know, like we're okay. We're not mad at Cleveland. We never have been. But now, okay, now it's like, all right, you want to play? All right, let's play.
I don't know. You got the Nets. You got the Clippers. Suddenly they have players. You got the Browns. Maybe the scripts.
The Browns
being
are the
flipped.
Clippers
I
of
don't
the Rust
know.
Belt.
Maybe I'm just saying that
It's
maybe
interesting.
there's scripts flipping all over the place. You know, you never know.
Okay, well, congratulations. You won a game last year. Like, congrats. Like, here we go. Like, let's play.
I'm excited for the parade after the Week 1 win against Tennessee.
Oh man. Dude,
Right?
you should be quiet because this Steelers team's coming into your house on your banner raising night and can absolutely make your life very miserable.
Great. Pats lost to the Chiefs on
First
the
Sunday
banner
night.
night a couple
We
years ago.
beat the
It's-
Pats the past 2
Yeah,
years.
it's not a big deal. How'd that work in the playoffs?
Not a big deal.
Steelers won the past 2 years
In the playoffs?
against the Pats.
In the playoffs?
Well-
yeah, Jesse James
Well,
caught that ball.
yeah,
Remember they changed that rule?
He's bringing up the fact that they had you beat, but after further review,
I mean, I'm just saying.
and then they have changed the rule.
They changed the rule, yeah, largely because of that.
Joe Manganiello here on the Rich Eisen Show. I like it. It's saucy. It's bitter. It's football season. We are here. We have arrived, man.
Let's go.
I know. I can't wait. Let's talk about your movie. A baseball film, one would say. Obviously, it's more than just about baseball, but baseball's at the heart of it. Bottom of the Ninth, where you play a kid from the Bronx who comes out of prison and tries to get back into baseball and tries to get back into life in that way through baseball. So,
well, he gets out of prison. So it's a 19-year-old kid who grew up in the shadow of Yankee Stadium, and he was an incredible baseball player, and then gets drafted by the Yankees. So the pride of all the Bronx. And he's out one night with his buddies from the neighborhood, and they get into a fight, and he hits one of the other kids, and that kid falls backward and smacks his head on the curb and dies. And he gets 9 years in prison, and then gets time tacked on. Basically, gets a sentence doubled for violence in prison, which is basically like just keeping himself alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets out in his late 30s and returns to the Bronx and missed his mother's funeral, missed the Yankees, just missed his life. And he's just trying to put his life back together, and winds up getting offered a job by an old minor league coach to help coach this minor league team. And so he leaves his crummy job at the fish market and winds up going and gets back into baseball. And in the middle of a pitching duel with a beardless Brian Wilson,
I love it.
the coaches and players see that he's still got it. And yeah, Cashman and Bernie show up, and they notice this old guy who can still hit the ball, and he winds up getting a second shot at baseball through this minor league team, and then winds up bumping into the girl whose heart he broke at 19 when he went into prison, that is played by my wife.
What was that like being in a movie with your wife?
It's the best. Yeah, it's the best. I mean, you know, we both been doing this a long time. We're pros, so it was just fun on that level. And then also when you're away and you shoot on location, you miss your family, you miss your wife, and having her there, you know, there's just nothing to miss. My whole life was right there, so I didn't feel bad about working long hours, and I never felt distracted. So that's great. I am the producer, so I had to make sure that she was in the car on time. So that's on me. But I do what all husbands do. You just tell your wife it's half an hour earlier.
Oh, I love it.
Get her in the car. That's it.
Well, I mean, you got to know your talent. You've got to know your talent as a producer.
That's right.
You have to know your actors.
You
and
treat your
actresses.
players differently,
That's
as
right.
good coaches know.
So let's talk a little bit more about this cast here as well. Burt Young.
Burt Young, Uncle Paulie.
From Rocky.
Yep.
That was great.
Yeah, he has a little cameo on the baseball minor league team. He's like our equipment guy who's still there.
Yes. And there's a lot of fans of The Sopranos who can notice a couple of the actors. in
Vinny
this.
Pastore is great in the film, and Michael Rispoli, also from The Deuce, running on HBO right now, plays the coach, my coach from years ago, who's fantastic.
Right, he's in Billions too. He had a little bit of spot in Billions also.
He's great.
Yes.
Dennis O'Hare, my buddy from True Blood.
That guy is
2-time Tony winner.
As great as they get.
Yeah, he's amazing, and you know, he's been my friend since True Blood, and we stayed close, and always wanted to use him in something that I was producing, you know, and he was gracious enough to lend his talents and come in and play my parole officer.
Right.
He's great. My wife, of course, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, so how obviously he hasn't been in baseball for a few years, but I mean, how did you get hooked up with him?
Well,
Joe?
You actually know because you were there. I directed a staged reading of Major League years ago for the LACMA series. And if you can pull up a picture maybe online somewhere. Oh, you have that handy?
I have
Oh, man,
handy.
look at
Here's
that.
the poster. It's a movie, the poster of where you did the live read of Major League.
Yep. So I directed part of Jason Reitman and Elvis Mitchell have this LACMA series where they, you know, you get to recast and do a live stage reading of any screenplay. I said I want to do Major League. And I had seen Brian Wilson on, there's the alt poster, the Roland Berry alt poster.
Yep.
I had seen Brian Wilson on the George Lopez show.
Okay.
He did an appearance on George Lopez where he was wearing a pea coat, and he looked like, you remember Fisherman's Friends that get rid of your cough? There's like that little like Hemingway guy with like the pipe and like his little seaman's hat. There's Brian Wilson in the middle who played Ricky Vaughn.
Yeah, and he showed up in the full number 99 Indians jersey. That was that. So that's where you...
I called him. I said, hey, man, I'm a huge fan of you. He was on George Lopez, and he's a genius. Like, I just spotted. I'm like, this guy has it. He's brilliant. Like, this talk show appearance is one of the most brilliant pieces of comedy I'd ever seen. I'm like, I'm going to put this guy in something. So when we were doing Major League, I got his number from Eric Stone Street, who was like a golfing buddy of his, I found out.
Stone Street knows everybody.
And I was like,
from your wife to Brian Wilson.
Yeah. And I was like, I need you to come and play Ricky Vaughn. And he was like, okay. And then we started having these like in-depth acting conversations. Like, Brian is a trip. And then I said, hey, man, I have this movie that I'm producing. When I get the financing for it, we get up and going, I'm going to give you a call, and I want you to come and play this adversarial former Cy Young winner who's rehabbing in the minor leagues that I have this battle with. And he came in and was just amazing. He helped me rewrite the ending. Like, I mean, he was such a great resource.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was like, I was like, what's the gnarliest pitcher batter battle that we could have play out? And he said, you know what you should do? The Butcher Boy. I was like, the Butcher Boy? And he's like, yeah, it's this old legend about, well, I'm not going to give away the ending. I'm not going to give it away, but there's a crazy move called the Butcher Boy.
Right, and
that's
Brian Wilson's the one who came up with it.
Yeah, he was like, he pitched it to me, and he was so good on the set. He's so good in this movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And how many takes did it take for Cashman to get it done right? Or did he keep you there all night?
Cashman and Bernie are like one take only.
Well, Bernie had his Seinfeld days. I understand. Like, this is not Bernie's first rodeo.
Yeah, no.
You know, with Costanza. I mean, there was Bernie with Costanza for many moons
Cashman
ago.
was very natural. Yeah, very natural. He was a pro. He came in. We were out in like Rockaway at like some practice field. He came all the way out there on a busy day during the season to come shoot with us. So I was very grateful for those guys.
Okay. Never thought about putting the Pirates in the film at all, anything like that?
It's about the Bronx.
I got it.
You know what I mean? It's the Bronx is such a character in it, and which is why we populated it with a bunch of like New York actors and you know, and I hung out with Bronx people and worked my Bronx dialect.
Dude, you are just great people, man. You know how I feel
Thanks,
about
Rich.
you. You know how I feel about you. At Joe Manganiello on Twitter and Instagram. Bottom of the Ninth is in theaters right now with an incredible cast. I appreciate any time you make for this show.
Thanks,
buddy.
Rich.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
Also on VOD.
Video.
So, yeah, it's in some select like indie theaters, but
Great.
If you're at home, you want to watch it right now, Bottom of the Ninth.
Outstanding. Brock, what do you think of his shoes before we send him off?
Oh, yeah.
These are incredible. They are, so Guns N' Roses had an album, a double album, Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. Joe has custom Jordan 1s of Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. Now, those are one of one. Those are custom made just for you,
These are
right,
one
Joe?
of one. Yeah, my buddy Mosh Customs, M-A-C-H-E if you're online. Yeah, he had this great idea. He knew I was a rock guy, a metal guy, and that was like the biggest musical event of our generation's formative years was Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 being released. And he said, I'm going to get Jordan 1s. What size are you? I'm going to do a Use Your Illusion 1 on one and then the 2 on the other.
He's got a Metallica
Hand
jacket.
painted.
He's got the shoes, the Guns N' Roses.
Pretty amazing.
Did you know that's what those were the minute he came out?
Well, TJ had showed me a picture
okay.
before Joe came out.
Because when
but
I saw
yes.
you in the green room, I'm like, oh, those are nice, colorful shoes. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm like that's the way I look at it, you know.
Wow.
But I'm getting into it. I'm getting into it.
As you
Thanks to you,
should.
Joe.
As you should.
Thanks to you, man.
Yeah, man, you hit Bodega.
I
You're
did hit
wearing some
Bodega.
fire today, Rich. You got the fire on right now.
There you go.
Look at that.
What am I wearing right now, Joe? I don't really even know what I'm wearing, but they make me look younger. Despite the move of me putting this up on the desk, I don't know how to get
can we
out of
give
this
Rich some
position.
ice? We need
I
some
can't-
ice.
I can't-
Flexibility right
How do I
there.
get out of
We
this
need some
position?
ice.
I
You
have no
just
idea.
stay there until you have to run your next 40.
Oh gosh, that'll be 5 months from now. Good to see you, Joe.
Great seeing you,
You got
Rich.
it. I'm video on demand and in theaters near you. Bottom of the ninth with Joe Manganiello.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.